Honestly, Baby Yoda probably needs to lay off the space weed because the munchies are turning him into the most adorable murderer the galaxy has ever seen.
How many did you eat?
He's also clearly never seen the movie Alien, because otherwise he might know, don't just go eating random little eggs laying in space caves, because that doesn't end well, clearly.
What we're going to be doing is the Mandalorian Makeover. And what we found is, we're Star Wars fans. So we're very biased. And all the things that the Mandalorian does well, it does very well. And we're in love with it. You're in love with it. It's why we all can pretty much agree it feels like Star Wars. It's great. We're happy to be back here. Instead of kind of saying that over and over again every week, Chris and I have found that the storytelling in The Mandalorian suffers from lack of attention to certain details. And we want The Mandalorian to be as prestige as we know it can be. So we want what's best. So we're going to sit here and complain about all the details we didn't like. There's something every episode that we find wrong with it, and we're going to go over those every week.
You've got a voracious appetite like Baby Yoda, only it's for YouTube content. Give us a like and subscribe.
Before we get going on all of our complaints and criticism, we want to do a quick rundown of things that we love. For me, I love the look of the bounty hunters in the beginning and the degenerate ant gambler at the cantina.
I actually loved the tension they were doing in the cave, making it feel like a Star Wars horror movie. Super awesome.
I like the tension between the Mandalorian and the X-Wing fighters. That little conversation on the radio was really perfect.
I but also am massively creeped out by Baby Yoda constantly stealing eggs and eating them, and I'm like, you're a little psychopath, buddy.
No. No.
I really love the musical score that was playing every time. And I was thinking ooh, what magical force powers is he going to connect with those eggs? Oh, he's eating them. Oh my God. The music was great. It just, indicates that he's going to murder a bunch of babies. Finally, for me, I love the cockpit of the Razor Crest. I love all the buttons, and I love the leather on the chairs. Reminds me of an old GM car, which is so perfect for that beat up space. It's just like a woman named Edith lost her virginity, for sure. A Phyllis
For sure.
definitely got down on those leather seats.
I'm going to start us off this week. They have these strong openers where Mando always has to get out of a jam. I'm starting to see the seams of the storytelling in it, because what happens now, twice this season and times last season as well, Mando's got to, make it seem like he's letting somebody get away, or, that he's going to, get the information, get the thing back and let them go on their way. And then turns out, oops, I'm going to let you keep the rocket. Gonna shoot you into the sky now and drop you to your death. See, I'm bad, because a few minutes later Mando's gonna be asked to do some ridiculous favor that he really shouldn't have to do, and he's gonna do it because he's actually the nicest, sweetest guy in the galaxy.
I mean, golly gee shucks, he's the nicest guy in the galaxy.
We're definitely seeing a trend here, and maybe that's fine. I guess I just want them to hide the trend more, or kind of don't even bother with this whole kill somebody in some kind of gray morality area. I'm like, guys, we get it. Ooh, Mando's got to show he's a real badass here, so that when he does the nice thing, we're not like, wait a second, you're just a softie.
Very beginning of the episode, they get jumped by bounty hunters, and that whole scene is very cool. My problem with that is those bounty hunters ambush him, and then he beats them all up, and then he has this really cool scene where he walks back to Tatooine, and all I was thinking is, where were the other speeders? Did the bounty hunters just go out in the middle of the desert? What if he drove past them a little to the left or a little to the right? They're just going to walk back. I think you needed to show the scene where the blaster accidentally blows up the rest of the bikes or something. They wanted the cool walk through the desert scene.
Right.
But they didn't want to just establish why he had to actually walk through the desert.
This is their thing. They're always going to do the Western tropes, even if they don't fully make sense. It's oh yeah, having the having the hero with his packs of stuff wandering through the desert to get to the settlement, is like classic Western move, because they tried to hang him out in the desert and leave him for dead. But in that case, they rode off with the horses, or if he took them out, the horses got spooked and ran away.
There's always that shot of the horses getting loose, out of the corral or whatever.
Yep.
And you're like, well, they got to hoof it. They got
yes,
to
they
walk
gotta
it
hoof it.
out.
Yep,
This was just like, no, those guys were just living on the rocks. And
That's it. Don't you understand, Frankie? They live there. That was their home. He destroyed their home. Those
hyper
rocks.
specific bounty hunters. They bounty hunt
They
within
bounty hunt in that
20
little rock
feet.
quarry. When this episode started, we kind of knew we were still going to be on Tatooine, and I just, in my mind, I was like, please, let's just get away from Tatooine, because it's the same kind of Western thing where they're like, you got to be in the desert because it's a Western. And I'm like, you don't. We could go somewhere else. And in my mind, I was like, let's just go to, like, I don't know, a snow planet. And then we went to a snow planet. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit refreshing. We at least got off of Tatooine. They clearly want to, like, emulate this, this sort of Western vibe. And I'm just hoping they don't get so tied down in that they won't give us kind of the variety. We've talked about just the variety of the Star Wars universe that we kind of want to see.
Rebels and the Clone Wars, they had some gorgeous planets and atmospheres and environments that they created. And it's like, let's go past sand, let's go past ice, let's move into those really kind of fun exotic lands. I would like to see those in a live action capacity, because they do those things well, and Mandalorian does do its atmosphere perfectly. The X-Wing, pullover kind of moment was really good when it's a...
Carson, can you switch over to channel 2?
All that stuff was really well done, because Mando knows, the X-Fighters know, and so do us, that, like, this dude's getting pulled over. The chase scene is really good. I actually, really felt like it was a great Star Wars chase scene.
Come on, Razor Crest. Don't make us do it.
Don't make us do it. Don't make us do it, Mando.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't you doing it?
Just do it.
Like, he's breaking protocol so obviously. And again, gee golly shucks, nicest X-Wing fighters in the galaxy. And you're like, okay, it's fun. And I love Dave Filoni as, like, a really nice X-Wing fighter with a heart of gold. It doesn't really make sense in this. We're trying to protect the New Republic from possible Imperial insurgents. Having them show up to just disappear so that you could force in a little montage thing is like, all right. I mean, I remember when we did this with Queel in the first season, I guess. It's like, doesn't really have the same impact.
And speaking of kind of first season versus second season, I'm again seeing, like, how they want to tell the story. That, first episode, it's kind of getting us back into our groove and introducing some idea of where things might go. Like, okay, he's searching out for his people and he's going to have to find Jedi and this and that. But then the second episode literally is just like, okay, this is like a delay along the way. Very much in the same way that the second episode of the first season was sort of a delay along the way. We only get 8 episodes. I want to see where things go. I want to get somewhere. And I understand they want to kind of take their time with this, and I respect that choice. But don't you hold my Ahsoka Tano from me for too long. I will continue to complain about it on YouTube. Clearly, like that's going to be my
most effective method. I feel like this frog lady is a part 1 of 2, which hopefully leads us into something else, because obviously she's still on the ship with him.
Because they made it clear, like, she has some kind of information about a Mandalorian or Mandalorians somewhere else. So, like, it was already kind of a bust in the first episode that it's like, well, that wasn't a real Mandalorian. That's Timothy Oliphant, which is kind of an upgrade to me, but, that's different. Hopefully this leads into the real plot where it's like, oh, he's going to get reconnected with at least somebody. I like the slow movement. It's good. I just don't want it to be any slower. Let's not get any slower.
Go, back to the ship.
I enjoyed that whole bit, the, ice cave chase and the spiders. And like, here's the thing, like, it was homage bordering on literally just ripping off Alien, but it was so well done because, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and the whole team they've got together are just so good at this that, like, they know that we know that this is totally just aliens in the Star Wars universe, but they do it so intentionally and so well executed that you're like, don't do it, Baby Yoda, don't you touch those eggs.
Small thing, when those spiders started hatching, use the flamethrower.
Just
What are
flamethrower.
we waiting for?
Right.
Dude, immediately I'm like, unlock.
Yep. Yeah.
Immediately.
Like, clearly people in the Star Wars universe have never seen, Alien, because they would know the proper response right away. I'm like, yeah, listen, we need Ripley here with a flamethrower, and this is settled. Like, this is done.
We also need an unhinged Bill Paxton.
Oh, Lordy me, R.I.P.
Well, here's hoping that The Mandalorian continues to get better every week. I think the reason we started this was because every week there's always a couple things where it's like, you could just write that down different and it's solved.
Yep.
Like, it's just write a little sentence that fixes that.
We can do those things. We can have these extra moments. Clearly, people are eating up what you're dishing out, Mandalorian. We're not going to say no to more of it, especially when it helps make sense.
Well, I think that's it for this week. Let's check out next week and see if there's any problems to fix. There probably will be one or two. For more reviews in the future, please like and subscribe, and we will see you then.